Back Nation, what is good? We are an unstoppable force. We cannot be stopped. There's nothing they can do. Somebody hacked my email account. Google locked it for security reasons, so I can't get into Run It Back Philly main YouTube channel. We come right back on the backup channel, DjEastwoodTV, and everybody comes right back because we are sickos. We're going to talk about Sixers versus Clippers last night. We're going to talk about Dominic Barlo. Probably going to talk about Paul George. Probably going to talk about the Sixers heading into the trade deadline. We're also going to talk about James Harden requesting his 5th trade in 7 seasons and just how right DJ Eastwood was about James Harden. When are you going to just when are you just going to listen to me, man? When are you guys just going to listen to me? You hard-headed, damn stubborn knuckleheads. When are you just going to listen to what I say and be like, you know what? He's probably right. It might take me 3 years to figure out that he's right, but he's probably right. As always, Run It Back Philly Sixers Postgame Live is brought to you by our friends at Bright Medical Technology, Pennsylvania's largest medical supplier and pharmacy, specializing in ambulatory aids, walkers, wheelchairs, oral nutrition, tube feeding supplies, diabetic shoes and glucose monitors, incontinence supplies, catheters. This is why the Clippers want to get away from James Harden and Kawhi Leonard in the next couple years, because those guys are going to need walkers and wheelchairs pretty soon. If you're having trouble breathing, Bright Medical specializes in nebulizers, inhalers, spacers, and all breathing medications. Bright Medical accepts most insurance companies, services patients of all ages, and delivers anywhere in Pennsylvania, either by hand delivery or by UPS. Bright Medical has a staff that speaks 15 languages, and you always speak to a real person. Never an automated system. If you need any medical supplies, just call Bright Medical. Don't forget to mention Run It Back Philly. Go to brightmedi.com or call 215-725-MEDS. That's 215-725-6337. Let's get down to business. Sixers versus Clippers last night. 10 o'clock start time, West Coast game. They haven't had any of these yet this season. I actually thought that the deal the NBA made with NBC and everything eliminated the West Coast start times because we had some West Coast games so far this season, but they were like the early slot. So it was like 8 o'clock or 8:30. So I was under the impression, I'm like, oh, sweet. Our West Coast games are now just 8 o'clock or 8:30. And then I get, bam, 10 o'clock. And I'm like, fuck. I don't think I can do that one. I got a 10-year-old son who I take to school in the morning. 7 a.m. comes fast. And I can't do it. So I didn't even try to do it. Plus, honestly, to be honest with you, algorithm-wise with YouTube, the videos do much better if I do the live stream the next day versus going live at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, I was chilling, watching the game. I knew I wasn't going to make it. I was made it halftime and then fell asleep in the third quarter. And I expected that to happen. So I just rewatched the second half. And here are my takes on Sixers versus Clippers after just rewatching the second half. The Clippers suck without James Harden. All right. Everybody kind of knew that. But it's such an interesting dynamic because they just won 5 games in a row. They won 8 out of their last 10. And James Harden is averaging 25 points a game this season. He is the system. And the Clippers suck without him. Now, whether or not the James Harden system is something you should do if you want to win a championship, we'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about that idiot. But the Clippers are not good without James Harden on the floor. A little bit interesting because Kawhi Leonard's supposed to be a superstar, right? He's not 2019 Kawhi Leonard. He's not 40 points a game in a 7-game playoff series and took out the Sixers. He's not that Kawhi Leonard anymore. Obviously, he's come back from multiple knee injuries. And plays about half a season every year. And he also works part-time for a tree trimming company. So he's not the same Kawhi Leonard. But the Clippers aren't good. And I think the most interesting thing that I saw from the Clippers in this game, rewatching the end of it, is that they quit. They quit in the fourth quarter. They actually had it down to 11 points with 5 minutes left, and they quit. And that's the main thing that I want to say about this game. I think that the Sixers took care of business. You know, the Clippers aren't good without James Harden, so it wasn't a game that you should have lost. It wasn't even a game that should have been close or come down to the wire or gone to overtime or anything like that. So they took care of business. It wasn't close. There wasn't really a thought that the Clippers were going to take the lead or make a run or anything like that. Hovered around a 13, 15, 17-point lead the whole game. And every single time the Clippers made a run, the Sixers answered the call and took care of business. And they got contributions from everybody in that regard. You know, the first one that really jumped out to me, the Clippers had it down to 11 at the end of the third quarter. Quentin Grimes, ball screen, pull up three, bang, 14-point lead. Clippers miss a shot on the other end or turn it over or something. Next possession, Quentin Grimes drive, dish to Jared McCain for three, bang, 6-point run right there between Quentin Grimes and Jared McCain. So it was nice to see the Sixers get those contributions from guys like that off the bench, especially Quentin Grimes, who's hot and cold, and Jared McCain, who's been coming back from that knee injury and hasn't really been himself. Jared McCain's coming around a little bit, but they answered the call when the Clippers got it to 11 in the third with the Grimes and McCain combo, right? Then the Clippers get it to 13 in the fourth quarter. Dominic Barlo, offensive rebound, put back with the left. Then the next possession, a Dominic Barlo three from the corner that rattled in. Possession after that, Tyrese Maxey step back three, leads back up to 17. So every single time, the Clippers got it to within 11. I don't even think they got it within 10 at any point in the second half. The Sixers answered the call. And the final one, the Clippers actually got it down to 11 with 5 minutes left in the game. Joel Embiid jumper in the middle of a zone. Kawhi Leonard misses 2 free throws. Tyrese Maxey step back three. Game over. You know what I mean? So, you know, the Clippers, they fought a little bit. They made some runs. Sixers took care of business every single time. There wasn't really a nervous part of that game. And the Clippers really play with no heart and no fight whatsoever. They really don't. They're like a team that you would call a scrappy team, right? They're the opposite of that. They are not a scrappy team. I don't know what they're doing right now. And this isn't going to work this season. Obviously, it's why they're trying to trade James Harden. The whole building a new $2 billion arena and then going all in for James Harden and Kawhi Leonard is... Bro, how many years am I going to see NBA teams do this shit? And it's so easy to call out. Obviously, that's not going to work. And Daryl Morey fleeced them because he got that 2028 Clippers pick in the James Harden trade. And it was a genius move. It wasn't really difficult to see, but it was a pretty genius move because you said, what are the Clippers going to be in 2027? Obviously, James Harden and Kawhi Leonard are pretty much going to be out the door by 2027, just with father time. They're going to be 36, 37, 38 years old. Kawhi stays in shape. James Harden, not so much. So it's pretty easy to predict that James Harden is going to be cooked by 28. And the Sixers have that 2028 unprotected Clippers pick. And now what I'm seeing is the Clippers are planning on a full-on rebuild. I don't know how you can rebuild if the Sixers have your pick. But their main objective now, I think, is to get some picks back in the James Harden trade, and we'll see if they pull that off. But the Clippers are a disaster. Should have been obvious that the Kawhi Leonard, James Harden thing wasn't going to work. The SGA trade might be the worst trade in NBA history, and they have a brand new $100 trillion arena, and nobody should be there because they're a disgrace. But it was a pretty fun game to watch. But yeah, without James Harden, they stink. Sixers took care of business, and Dominic Barlo is the player of the game. I know Tyrese Maxey had 29, and shout out to our boy. And it's nice to see Maxey get back to that a little bit too, because he was in a little bit of a slump for a couple of games, you know, and the secret society of Tyrese Maxey haters was coming out of the woodwork. So it's nice to see Tyrese Maxey get back into his groove and drop 29, 5, and 6 on a plus 22. And again, every single time the Clippers made a run, it was answered, and a lot of times it was Tyrese Maxey just dagger threes, just step back, bang. Sorry you thought you had a little bit of momentum. Here's Tyrese Maxey again. Joel Embiid had 24, 5, and 3. He was dominant in the third quarter. I think Joel Embiid had 13 in the third quarter. Struggled a little bit in the first half. I actually had a tweet last night about Brook Lopez's defense on Joel Embiid in the first half. He was kind of clamping him a little bit, to be honest with you. But the third quarter is where Joel Embiid got it going. But even with Joel Embiid having 24 and 5, I wouldn't really consider, 5 isn't really a good number for Joel Embiid as far as rebounding goes, but it wasn't really a Joel Embiid game. It didn't feel like it was revolving around Joel Embiid. So it's also nice to see the Sixers be able to do different things, be able to morph and play what the other team is giving them. So one game can be a Joel Embiid 40-point triple-double. Another game can be a Tyrese Maxey 29-point game. And then you get what you got from Dominic Barlo. So it's nice that the 76ers recently have been able to figure out different looks and not be such a one-trick pony, if you know what I mean. And speaking of our boy, Dominic Barlo, I got to give it up to Daryl Morey again. Another... Dominic Barlo might be Daryl Morey's best signing in his tenure as a 76ers president. Like, all things considered. You know what I mean? Like, just diamond in the rough player that went undrafted who is exactly what the team needs. Just an incredible signing and way better than anybody thought he was going to be. And it's not just Dominic Barlow's motor and his rebounding ability. That's a major part of it. He actually has a lot of basketball skills outside of just that. Like in the third quarter, when he got that offensive rebound after the Clippers got it down to 11, when he grabbed that offensive board, he drives the lane with his left hand and finishes through contact with the left-hand layup. Like, Dominic Barlo actually has a lot of skill that people don't even realize. Definitely the mainstream NBA media doesn't realize. But he's just unbelievable. His motor, he never stops, and he's exactly what the 76ers need because they lack players like that seemingly every season. You know? Kelly Oubre was a guy that they got, and it felt like there was like a 10-year drought of the Sixers having that athletic hustle guy. When they signed Kelly Oubre, that's why we love that signing so much. And now you get Dominic Barlo, and he's a little bit of a Kelly Oubre, but like more of a power forward, more of a traditional power forward, NBA power forward. And his rebounding helps out the 76ers so much. So much. A team that struggles to rebound. And now, because Dominic Barlo, looked so good in this game and has looked so good this season, we got to ask the question, right? Because when Paul George is out and Dominic Barlo starts at power forward, I think it's been the Sixers' best lineup this season. And as soon as Paul George came back and Kelly Oubre came back, Dominic Barlo goes to the bench, and I thought that was a terrible move by Nick Nurse. I don't care. I don't care how much you like Kelly Oubre, and I certainly don't give a fuck how much money Paul George is being paid. Dominic Barlo needs to be the starting power forward on this team. Not just because of the energy, his rebounding ability, his fit, it just makes perfect sense. And I tweeted last night, or I think I posted it on the Instagram story. By the way, follow the Instagram page at RunItBackPhilly. That's how most people found out I was even on a backup channel. Shout out to all the followers on the Instagram page. I posted on the Instagram stories, Dominic Barlo is better than Paul George. Now, obviously, that's a little bit of rage bait. That's fun to do, and I like to do that. But in the sense of fit, he is. He's better for this team than Paul George is. It's just a fact. I don't care. I don't care when people say, you're really going to say he's better? Obviously, Paul George is a better player. I don't care. All of the skills that Paul George has that are better than Dominic Barlo, it doesn't matter to me. when you look at a team like this. They need a guy like this who fits this role perfectly. 26 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. 10 offensive rebounds. 10 offensive rebounds. Dominic Barlo just finished a basketball game with 10 offensive rebounds. That's what makes me so happy about how he fits on this team. We could go back to the Tobias Harris days, right? Like, people would say Tobias Harris is a better basketball player than Ricky Council, okay, for example. And I would agree with you. But that team getting their fucking asses kicked by the Knicks in the playoffs, not being able to rebound and having no guy on the floor with the extra gear of just hustle and physicality. Ricky Council should have been in the game, and Nick Nurse played him 0 minutes the entire playoff series, all the way to the point where Tobias Harris gave you a goose egg in Game 6 elimination game. You got to be able to stop playing politics in the NBA. You have to. Winning coaches don't play politics. I know I'm on a little bit of a side tangent here, but winning coaches don't play politics. Eric Spoelstra doesn't play politics. He benched Duncan Robinson an entire playoff run. That guy's on a $90 million contract. He didn't care. He couldn't play him and Tyler Hero on the floor together or they were going to lose. Nick Nurse wouldn't make that decision. He refused to put Tobias Harris on the bench in that playoff series to try something else. He plays politics. And when Paul George came back, boom, he's the starting power forward. Dominic Barlo to the bench. Kelly Oubre came back. Boom, he's a starting small forward. Dominic Barlo to the bench. You have to stop playing politics and put the best team on the floor. Paul George, 25 game suspension? I wish it was 100. I wish there was a way to get rid of him. Can we fire him? Can you just say he violated the contract? Right? I think when you sign an NBA contract, you agree to follow the rules of the NBA. Now you got suspended 25 games because apparently you don't know what medications you should or shouldn't take, which is a lie. Can't find a way to cancel the contract. Get him out of here. This is what I said when all the Paul George stands came at me when he first got suspended, which was what, just yesterday, 2 days ago? I said I don't care. And there were some Sixers content creators and writers and podcasters, radio guys saying the Sixers are screwed or this is a major hit to the Sixers team. No, it's not. No, it's not. Paul George is a good defender. Paul George is a great catch and shoot guy when he wants to be. His loser energy is something I can't stand, and there's something about him. I don't even want him on the floor. And I said, watch, I bet you in the next 25 games with Paul George serving a suspension, the Sixers have the same, if not better record than they had the previous 25 games. And guess what? They're 2-0 so far. Stop playing politics, man. Just put the best team on the floor, man. Just put the best team on the floor. I think that's really all of my takes on the actual game from last night. We'll chop it up with the chat a little bit, but we are definitely going to talk about this James Harden trade request because I think I want to say this. Look, I have an ability to sniff out loser mentality when I watch basketball. It's just, I mean, it's not hard. I don't get blinded by big names. And, James Harden is a 3-time MVP or whatever he was back in the day, and a 10-time All-Star and all this stuff. I just don't get I'm not starstruck. I could walk by a famous actor on the street, and I wouldn't say hi. I wouldn't ask for a picture. I wouldn't do any of that fucking weird shit. I wouldn't do any of that. I'd be like, oh, that was so-and-so, wasn't it? I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Allen Iverson, I've watched his whole career. He's the reason I started watching basketball and playing basketball, right? But I don't know him personally. If I walked by Allen Iverson on the sidewalk, I'd probably be like, "Dad, that was Allen Iverson, bro. That's crazy." I wouldn't say anything to him because I don't care. And I also think it's weird to just approach people and ask them for a picture because, you watched him play basketball. Anyway, I got a little off topic. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I have an ability to sniff out loser mentality when it comes to NBA players. You can say it's my only ability. I don't care. It's one ability you're going to admit that I have. Okay? Ben Simmons, year 1, refused to shoot the ball. I was like, bro, I don't think this is going to work. Year 2, refused to shoot the ball. I was like, get this guy out of here. And I was way ahead of the curve. And the Ben Simmons stands, you're so hard on him. You're just a hater. Blah, 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 blah. Now he's a professional fisherman. Who else? Who else did I have a knack for? When they traded Ben Simmons for James Harden. I already thought James Harden was washed. I thought he was washed after he played for Brooklyn. Thought he was washed. I couldn't believe that Daryl Morey was about to make this trade for a past his prime James Harden. I thought they should have traded him for Halliburton or somebody else if it was on the table. They didn't do it. They also could have got rid of Tobias Harris in that package with the Kings. They didn't do it because Daryl Morey loved James Harden. I couldn't believe he did it. And then I talked myself into it like I always do. But I was right. My gut instinct was correct. It didn't work. Somehow Daryl Morey traded him to the Clippers for an unprotected first-round pick. Should have known that wasn't going to work. So what do we got? Ben Simmons. The stands told me I was too hard on him and I'm just a hater. I was right about that. James Harden. The stands told me I was too hard on him and I'm just a hater. I was right about that. Tobias Harris. Easiest one to call from a mile away. And I don't know if there's Tobias Harris stands, but there was people that love to defend him for some reason. He's actually our most important player. He's a locker room guy. He's a professional. He shows up every day. I don't care about any of that shit. What does he look like when times get tough on the court? Folds like origami. Easy to call. Oh, you're too hard on him. You just need another player to hate. You're a hater. You're a hater. You're a hater. Where's Tobias Harris? In Detroit. And guess what? They're probably just as good with him or without him. He's an okay player. He's just a guy. He's just there. Easy to call. Paul George might have been the easiest one of all of them. And I did talk myself into it when they made the signing, like I always do, but my gut instinct was correct. And if you go back to my videos, I had a video titled "The Sixers Are About to Make a Huge Mistake," where I was calling Paul George the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris's. And I thought it was a ridiculous idea to put Paul George on this team past his prime after the Clippers didn't want to give him that max contract. He's a loser. This is not rocket science. So, at some point, you guys just got to listen to me and say, his track record's pretty good with calling out frauds. He's probably right. So, yeah. Anyway, what do we got in the chat, man? Hit me with some stuff in the chat, bro. Bro, did YouTube figure your main channel out yet? Sorry if you explained it already. No, still waiting for damn Google to respond to me. It honestly works like a messaging thread, except they respond like every 5 days. So, it sucks, but I'm trying not to be too angry about it or get too worked up about it. I am currently not making any money, so that isn't great. But maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe everything happens for a reason. I'm getting views on this backup channel, which I didn't even think was possible. So maybe it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise where it got my second channel off the ground, and now I can work 2 different YouTube channels and get views on both of them. So, but no, not yet, but it'll be back. It'll be back soon. See, David, in the playoffs, you're going to need Barlow to be able to space the floor. Defenders play far away from Barlow on the perimeter. Can't win in the playoffs with that. Need Jalen Smith. All right, I like Jalen Smith. And Barlow is not a floor stretcher by any stretch of the imagination. He's a 23% three-point shooter. He did hit one yesterday. He was 1 for 1 from three-point range, so he shot 100% from three yesterday. But, you can make the argument that other people always make about playing a center with Joel Embiid or a power forward with Joel Embiid, that Joel Embiid plays on the perimeter a lot, And I don't know. It seems to be working. You might be right. I'm not even saying you're wrong. But I'm not going to speculate what's not going to work in the playoffs. It's fair to do that. But, I don't know. I don't know too much about Jalen Smith. But, he plays for the Bulls, right? Young player for the Bulls, I believe. I don't know. Is Jalen Smith really somebody that swings it? Sadiq Bey, I feel you on that one. I feel you on the Sadiq Bey front. I do feel you on the Sadiq Bey front. I would like Sadiq Bey, man. Can we start calling him low TP or depressed P? I think it's Percocet P, man. I think that's what it is. Are you streaming the trade deadline? Not like live waiting for something to happen, because that usually ends up being annoying and ends up like me not having anything to say because I'm sitting here waiting for Shams to make tweets and stuff. When some reports start to come out, I'll go live and cover the rumors and things like that. Do you miss Jimmy Butler? No. Good to see the full team had a positive on the plus-minus stat. Coming into a Sixers channel to diss is corny and sad. Yeah, it's all right. Hey, man, all engagement is good engagement. Look at my Instagram. Sometimes sometimes half of the comments hate what I'm saying, and they're just pushing the videos out by engagement, so it's fine with me. Do you feel like the Sixers are road? Well, I don't really get into that type of stuff, man, because what would that even entail? Why would they play better on the road? It's a 5-on-5 basketball game. The court's the same size. At home, the fans are behind you. At away, the fans are against you. There's no real reason I could think of that they would be better at playing on the road. I just think it's kind of a coincidence that they win more games on the road than they win at home. It probably has to do with matchups mostly. Like last night, the Clippers are not good. Yeah, let's go talk about the James Harden stuff before we get out of here. Yes, it is Percocet P, because that's what he did, and he knows it. He knows it. You don't have to lie to me, Paul George. You know what you did. You took something, and Paul George, look, I'm not going to call him a drug addict, but when you watch the podcast, he's high all the time, all right? I assumed he was always high on weed on the podcast. Now I'm starting to think might have been other stuff, that he's high on during the podcast. I don't know. But his podcast absolutely sucked because he's just there high as shit saying some of the dumbest stuff you've ever heard with no research done whatsoever. Paul George, here's one example, and I didn't listen to it a lot. I don't know how much dumb stuff he's said on that podcast. It's probably way more than I've heard because I didn't listen to it a lot. A couple times that I listened to it, I heard him say this. I heard him say that Andre Drummond was a big part of the Detroit Pistons getting Cade Cunningham because of the draft picks they got back in an Andre Drummond trade. He said that. Andre Drummond was traded for 2 second-round draft picks. How did that get the Detroit Pistons Cade Cunningham? It's shit like that you think that just because you're an NBA player and you're a 9-time All-Star, that I'll just make a podcast and you just get high and sit up there and just ramble off shit that's not even true. It's terrible. Nobody wants to hear that. Anyway, I thought he was always on the weed on the podcast. I'm guessing now that he's on some other stuff. And then, you look at the comment that he made post-game that one time where they asked him, like, do you have any advice for Joel Embiid coming back from similar knee injury that you did? And he said drugs. He said it out loud. He said drugs help. Now, at the time, we thought he was talking about doctors prescribing pain medication. Now he gets 25-game suspension for drugs. And we're putting 2 and 2 together here and 3 and 3 together here. And we're saying, wait a minute. Is this guy a little bit of a pill popper? Pill Popper P, huh? Podcast P. Pill Popper P, man. PPP. Pill Popper George. I don't know. But anyway, let's get to this James Harden stuff before we get out of here, man, because we got to talk about it, all right? Let's just go to NBA Central because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff, man, and I think that on this channel right here, DJ Eastwood TV, I'm not sure if it's always going to, which should be soon, I'm going to keep that a hardcore 76ers fan channel covering the Sixers after games and Sixers rumors, right? And I think I'm going to use this channel to give my opinion on the rest of the NBA. And I think that's a good way I can separate the two channels and run them both and see if that works. So James Harden, well, he only has a 52% chance of being traded. They just posted that one on NBA Central. But anyway, the Cavs and Clippers are eager to get this James Harden deal done. But there's some stuff in here that talks about how it is basically believed that James Harden requested a trade after a 5-game win streak and winning 7 of their last 10. And my entire Google Chrome froze. That's been happening recently, man. What's up with that? Come on, bro. I'm live, dude. I'm live and you're going to freeze, dude? Why is my Google Chrome frozen? All right, hold on. I might have to reopen it. I don't know what's... Okay, we're back. We're back. And it restarted. All right. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Wait, I forget what I was saying. I said, oh, yeah, and I didn't even remember what I was saying. Oh, yeah, there's some reports that are leading people to believe that James Harden has requested a trade, and it has to do with the contract that he wanted. Clippers are expected to pivot away from their current core. We got to read that. We got to read that for sure. James Harden has shown interest in going to Atlanta. Imagine that 40-year-old party animal down in Atlanta. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's see. We got to find the one about James Harden's contract stuff. Oh, this one right here, okay? James Harden wanted a 2-year, $80 million extension from the Clippers. This is... Dude, listen, and I understand it's about making money, but when you start to see stuff like this time and time again, team after team, you start to realize that these guys only care about money, right? And that's when James Harden collapsing in the playoffs or folding when the games were the biggest and quitting on the court, Game 7 against the Celtics, quitting. That's when you start to see that, yeah, he's a really good player. He's been a really good player, but he never really cared about winning. He likes being rich and hanging out with rich hip-hop artists in strip clubs in Houston and wherever else. He likes the celebrity lifestyle. That's what he likes. He never actually cared about winning. That's how you can even have the dignity to play the game the way that he played it in some of those years where he was foul baiting for 36 points a game all season long. And he was unbelievable in 2016. I'm not taking that away from him, but the foul baiting was atrocious. And it wasn't a winning style of basketball. And so, you know, when he left Brooklyn, he wanted out of Brooklyn because Kawhi wasn't playing and Durant requested a trade. I forget how that went down. But Sixers trade for him. He wants a max contract from the Sixers, right? He puts up a fucking goose egg in Game 7 against the Celtics. Not a goose egg. He had 9 points. 9 points. Across that entire series, he was a minus 89. Outside of the one game where he dropped 40, he was the worst player on the floor that playoff series. The fans were booing him. And he still thought he was going to get a max contract. And Daryl Morey said, I can't do that. I can't do that. If you didn't stink up the joint when it mattered the most and the fan base wasn't booing you, I could do that. I can't do it. Daryl Morey had to go against his own word because he couldn't do it. Now he goes to the Clippers, right? And yeah, you're averaging 25 points a game. That's cool. Does it matter? Does anybody really think the Clippers are going to win in the playoffs? No. But he still thinks, I deserve an $80 million extension. Why would they do that? Realistically, why would they do that? They have to get away from these old injured players. The Sixers are the same way, except they extended Joel Embiid until 2029. And they signed Paul George until 2028. Actually, I call the Clippers the West Coast Sixers a lot of times, talking about how they're obsessed with old injured players. The Clippers are actually doing what the Sixers probably should have done. And listen, 2 years, okay? And the second year isn't fully guaranteed. That's what they should have done. The Clippers aren't making that mistake with James Harden. He turns 37 in August. And he thought he deserved a 2-year, $80 million contract extension. The Sixers weren't going to do, or the Clippers weren't going to do that. And so he requests a trade. You delusional maniac. Does he think he's going to go to the Cleveland Cavaliers and they're going to give him an extension? You're 37, James. It's starting to sound like you didn't invest enough of your hundreds of millions of dollars. It's starting to feel like you would have retired by now if you could. But you keep trying to get another max contract because all you did was blew all your money in strip clubs. That's what it's starting to sound like. I don't know personally. But you do have a jersey hanging up in a strip club in Houston because you spent $1 million in one night. I'm just saying. Anyway, let me tell you why I think James Harden to the Cavaliers is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And the Cavs are interesting, and this is the type of content that's going to be on this channel when Run It Back Philly comes back around. This is going to be my opinion on more general NBA topics. Darius Garland got injured in the Cavaliers versus Sixers game, right? He walked off in like the second quarter. He walked into the locker room. And I made a comment, and I'm pretty sure I said it on that postgame show. I was like, watch the Cleveland Cavaliers go on a run without Darius Garland, and trade talks will start to heat up. I didn't know it was going to be that quick. I didn't know it was going to be trade talks are going to heat up, and they're going to try to trade him at the deadline. But I just felt like, look, the Cavaliers were underwhelming this season so far. Darius Garland gets injured. They just won 8 out of their last 10 games. And now they're finally saying, that's it. That's the last signal the Cleveland Cavaliers needed that it's time to trade Darius Garland and try to win with Donovan Mitchell as the centerpiece, right? And so there you go. The Cavs are like, let's try to do something. Now they're trying to trade for James Harden because they owe Darius Garland over $150 million for the next 3 years. James Harden is owed $42 million this season and $44 next season on a player option. That's $86. So they're trying to clear $150 and take back $86, basically, right? Correct me if I'm wrong about that. I'm not a salary cap magician or professional or expert or anything. But it seems like James Harden at this point in his career is just a salary dump. Except it's going to be hard for it to happen because the Clippers want first-round picks in return because they don't have any picks. The Sixers have their 2028 unprotected and might be the best pick in the draft. The Clippers don't have any picks. They traded them all for Paul George in the SGA trade. What a fucking disaster. The LA Clippers. Oh, yeah, like the whole thing is like, I don't really even know why. What would trading for Darius Garland do for the Clippers if they're not getting first-round picks back? Because they're going to be in a rebuild situation, right? And what would trading for James Harden do for the Cavs if they're not getting first-round picks back? Because they think Donovan Mitchell is going to leave in free agency in the summer of 2027. Both of these teams are teetering on a rebuild. They both want first-round picks in return. I don't know how that trade's going to work out. It's probably going to be a mid-ass trade, honestly. It's probably going to be almost Garland for Harden straight up, and we'll see what picks are involved. But it's interesting to me. It's odd. And also, if the Cavaliers think they have a chance to make a surge in the Eastern Conference this season, which they do, I'm not trading for James Harden. I'm keeping the ball in Donovan Mitchell's hands. I'm making trades to try to put pieces around Donovan Mitchell that can help the Cavs be a better balanced team. I'm not trading for James Harden. You're taking the ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands because James Harden needs the ball the whole game. He's the system, right? Terrible idea. Terrible. He's the system. Donovan Mitchell can play off ball. He's good at playing off ball, but as you've seen since Garland went down again, Donovan Mitchell should be on the ball. So then you got a whole 2-point guard situation again. I hate this idea for the Cavs. I really do. On top of that, James Harden playing off ball when Mitchell has the ball? Pfft. James Harden can't play off ball. He just stands in the corner. He can't even catch and shoot. He catches the ball and has to take a dribble for some reason. And then what? Defensively? Gross. Absolutely disgusting. And I heard somebody say, the Cavs trade for James Harden. And then LeBron James leaves LA and plays his final year in Cleveland. Oh, yeah, that'll go real well. 37-year-old James Harden not playing any defense, and 42-year-old LeBron James not playing any defense. Yeah, great idea. If the Cavaliers, they're going to ruin their chances of winning by making this trade. And if Donovan Mitchell is close to leaving in free agency, this James Harden trade is going to seal the deal. And the Cavaliers are going to be back in Darius Miles and Ricky Davis territory and Carlos Boozer in 2002 before they landed LeBron James. They're going to be nobody. Nobody even hardly knew the Cleveland Cavaliers were a basketball team before they drafted LeBron James. So I think this James Harden trade to the Cleveland Cavaliers makes no sense for either team. I don't even understand why it would happen. But you guys can, the Harden stands on Twitter can definitely argue against that. Some of the people in this chat might be arguing against that. James Harden's averaging 25 points per game this season. What are you talking about? I don't care. It's not just about points per game. I was listening to NBA radio this morning, and all Frank Isola kept saying is, I don't understand what you guys are saying. He's averaging 25 points per game. I don't care. It's the style of play. He's 36. He doesn't play any defense. He needs the ball the entire game. He is the system, and the system has never worked on any team, and it's not going to work now. I think it's a terrible idea for the Cavs, but we will see what happens. But just James Harden requesting his 5th trade in 7 years is just so... He's such a delusional, self-centered narcissist. And he really... I don't know what he thinks, man. Well, does he think he thinks he deserves another 2-year, $80 million contract? Really? James. You think people are going to pay you until you're 40? Stop it. Stop it. The Cavs have contacted the Bucks about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Mavericks about Anthony Davis. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Cavs. Put them all together. You build an entire 30-plus roster full of guys who can't stay healthy. Yeah, do that. Do that. Genius. Genius. Get Harden, Giannis, and Anthony Davis. And the internet will go crazy, and TikTok will go crazy, and Twitter will go crazy, and all these Sports Center pages and everything, and Bleacher Report, they'll all post, who's stopping this team? Who's stopping this team? And it'll go absolutely nowhere. Remember Kyrie and Durant and Harden on the Nets? Who's stopping this team? And they were the worst defense in NBA history. That team, like, what don't people understand about this? That team, the Kyrie, Durant, Harden team, they were the worst. They had the worst defensive rating that first season in NBA history. But guys like Max Kellerman kept getting on ESPN and saying, yeah, but on paper, in theory, dude, oh no, it wasn't even Max Kellerman, bro. He kept saying stupid shit like that too. It was Chris Broussard. He said out loud, this Brooklyn Nets team is, in theory, the best team of all time. What are we doing? So the same thing would happen if you put all these guys together. It'd be like, whoa, in theory, this guy was an 8-time All-Star, and this guy was a 10-time, and this guy, I don't care. Look at the teams that are winning right now. The Oklahoma City Thunder. Youth. A point guard who could play defense is nice to have, who can also score on the level of SGA. A clear number 2 in Jalen Williams. A clear number 3 and shot blocker in Chet Holmgren. Defenders, Lou Dort, Caruso, Hartenstein. Look at how these winning teams are built. This is why I hated all those times Daryl Morey, right before he signed Paul George, when the reporters were asking him, like, don't you think, the fans seem to think that you should want to build a deep team full of good role players. And Daryl Morey gives his spiel about, yeah, I understand that, and that's the way the league is right now, but he said this out loud. He said, in the history of the game, the team with the most all-stars wins the most. And so he was interested in getting Paul George because he was an 8-time all-star versus building a deep roster that made fucking sense. All these guys are idiots, bro. They all think they're playing 2K. And Sam Presti sat back for 10 years and just laughed his ass off, collected all the picks, and built the winning team, and he probably thought it was easy. I bet if you asked Sam Presti, he probably thought it was obvious. It was easy. Everyone else in the NBA is trying to smash together a bunch of superstars. And I just sat down, collected all the picks, drafted for fit, and built a team that made sense. Anyway, that's all I have to say about the Sixers-Clippers game and the James Harden trade rumors. I'm very much ready for James Harden to be a retired NBA player. I really am. He's been done for 3 or 4 years now. The run is over, and this trade to the Cavs might just be a salary relief for the Cavs. Honestly, this might sound crazy. I wouldn't be totally shocked if the Cleveland Cavaliers, knowing that Donovan Mitchell is about to leave in free agency the summer of 2027, I wouldn't be totally shocked if they trade Darius Garland because they owe him 3 years, $150 million plus. If they trade Darius Garland for James Harden and waive him, I wouldn't be shocked. The James Harden NBA era is over. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming through the backup channel, DJ Eastwood TV. Run It Back Philly will be up soon as Google replies to me. They replied to me twice now. They keep we need you to fill out this form. I filled out the form, right? Then they're like, okay, fill out this form about recovering the email address that was flagged with suspicious activity. I did that. I had to get them to give me access to that form with my backup email address. They finally gave me access to that so I could actually talk to them. They kept sending a code to the email address that they locked. It's like a security code was sent to your email to verify it's you. I'm like, that's the email you guys flagged, bro. Make that make sense. So they finally gave me access to the form with my backup email address. Then they replied to me and said, hey, we received your form. We'll be back. We'll get back to you soon. Anyway, I am not being paid right now, so that sucks. But life is full of trials and tribulations, baby. One door closes, another door opens. One enemy knocks you down, and two comrades pick you back up. I don't know. I just made that up. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.